Hello.
Why are you so calm? I'm haunting you. Okay, I'm done. I've been watching a lot of Ghost Whisperer recently. Great show. Corny, but great. I cry every time. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing great. But I think we should introduce the show now.
Yeah.
I am Madeline.
I'm Olivia.
And we are your spooky, sexy hosts of Another Picture Show podcast. This is the podcast where I never watch movies and Olivia suggests I watch one. I do, and then we come back and talk about it.
Yeah, indeed. That is the premise of the show.
So what's on the docket today, Judge Olivia?
I thought we could do something a little spooky. So it's great that you started us off with a ghost. Get us in the mood already. So this week we're gonna watch The Witch.
Oh. I was really feeling, since our theme this season is women in film, I was really thinking you were going to pull Hereditary out. But I've already seen Hereditary, so I would have been like, ha! In your face. I've never, wait, I don't know if I've heard of The Witch. Explain.
It's hard to,
I demand information.
The Witch is the first film of Robert Eggers. He made the Lighthouse with Robert Pattinson.
Wow.
And that's his second film, but The Witch is his first film. And it's based off of it's very fairy tale-y and spooky, and it's just an interesting movie, and I want you to watch it.
I suppose I will.
Yeah, I mean, I don't have a ton to say about it until you watch it. So,
okay.
Yeah, it's a big vibe change from Portrait of a Lady on Fire for sure. Yeah, so you haven't heard about it at all?
I mean, I've probably seen it, like the title or whatever thrown around, but I know nothing about it. I know nothing about the cast, nothing about the plot. Don't know.
Perfect. Okay, well, we're gonna go in blind.
Oh, wow. I feel like this is the only movie. Wait, no, I didn't know what Annihilation was about. So,
or Eternal Sunshine.
Oh yeah, I don't watch movies. Good thing we're doing this. Yeah, so I'm really going in fully blind to this one.
Cool. All right, we're gonna go watch The Witch, and we'll be back with our review in 3, 2, 1. So we just got finished watching The Witch. Before we get into the movie, I'm curious to know how much do you know about the Salem witch trials and Puritan culture stuff before we get into the movie?
I'm actually #Puritan core. I don't know if you knew that.
I did not.
I definitely wear little bonnets and spout fire and brimstone.
I see. That explains a lot for sure.
Yeah. It's one of those things that you learned as a kid. You went to a traditional farm, those ye old farms in Williamsburg or whatever, and you see how they churn butter and raise cows. So you think you know a lot about Puritan lifestyle, and then they touch on it a little bit in high school. We both took AP US history, so they're oh yeah, we were pilgrims once, haha. And then they're now let's talk about presidents. So no, I don't know a lot. That's a very long answer to say I think I know a lot, but I actually definitely don't.
Yeah, I mean, we both lived in Virginia for a while, and that's the hub of all the early America Puritan hotspots.
Manifest Destiny.
Yeah. So we got to go see places like that and feel like we knew the vibes
here.
Yeah. But I agree. I don't think this movie is trying to be educational really about the times, but
I definitely got literally Little House on the Prairie gone wrong.
Mm-hmm.
Because that was one of my favorite books, and movies as a kid, was Little House on the Prairie, and it felt like that because they're in bumfuck nowhere.
Mhm.
And it's just the family out in the middle of nowhere. Little House on the Prairie, they were not eradicated from their town for having like some radical religious beliefs compared to the already radical religious beliefs that the Puritans of the town had. So you gotta admit that's just wild if even the radicals kicked you out.
All right, so I guess before we get into super specifics, I'm gonna read the stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so the VVitch,
VVitch.
A New England Folktale, is a 2015 period supernatural horror film written and directed by Robert Eggers in his feature directorial debut. The film stars Anya Taylor-Joy, Ralph Ineson, Kate Dickey, Harvey Scrimshaw, Ellie Granger, and Lucas Dawson. The movie is set in New England, 1630. William and Catherine tried to lead a devout Christian life, homesteading on the edge of an impassable wilderness with 5 children. When their newborn son mysteriously vanishes and their crops fail, the family begins to turn on one another. The Witch is a chilling portrait of a family unraveling within their own sins, leaving them prey for an inconceivable evil.
Inconceivable.
Yeah, so that's The Witch. It's Robert Eggers' first film, and I think he grew up in New England, so he was, you can see it in both his films, this one and The Lighthouse. He's very interested in New England, old New England, in, different time periods, and folk tales and fairy tales and the supernatural kind of messing with people, but also just like people messing with people. Mm-hmm. And I think he's on a roll with that for sure.
So it was okay, fun film.
Yeah, you liked it overall?
I wouldn't say that. I don't know. It's like I only had the chance to watch it once.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like some of these movies I definitely just want to watch again to like really get a feel, because like I feel like half the time I was like, so like where's this witch at? Like you see her once after she snatches up and like, drains the baby.
Mm-hmm. Or mashes it into butter.
Yes, butter. That's right. Churns the baby into baby butter. Oh. And then you kind of see her like a second time, like fleeting, like in the dark with the kids and Black Phillip or whatever. And that's it. So I was like, all right. But I understand like who really is the witch. Well, there is a witch, but also it's like, I guess the foundation of a new witch. # spoiler alert. I don't know where I was going with that, but
you said that you liked it but didn't like it.
Yeah. So I liked the end. I liked like literally the last 5 minutes where Black Phillip just mauls the dad to. Oh, first of all, actually no. I loved it when the 2 twins got their fucking just desserts, because I wanted to smack those little Cabbage Patch assholes across the universe. And then when the witch, like, I don't know, like ate them. I don't know what she did. She killed them. And then Black Phillip mauled the dad to death. And then Anya Taylor-Joy like stabbed her mom. I literally thought, and I said this to you before, I was like, as soon as she killed her mom, I was like, I kind of hope she goes out and joins forces with the witch in the woods. And sure enough, in a matter of sorts, she did. Mm-hmm. And I was very happy about that.
Nice. I like this movie. I think I didn't know what to expect going into it. You hear the title, The Witch, and so you're expecting it to be like super spooky and about a witch. And this movie is not that, really. The supernatural is there. Like you see the witch, like you said, a few times, but it's more about this family kind of tearing itself apart and the like paranoia that comes with the beliefs of the time, the religious extremist beliefs of the Puritans, and how that can drive you crazy, I guess. But yeah, so specifically, I guess we can I don't know. How do you want to do this? Do we want to kind of go through the movie and talk about it like that? Or do you want to talk about just like what you liked and go from there?
We can go through the movie.
Okay. So it takes place somewhere in New England. This family just came over from England recently and was living in a little town, village, whatever. It's not a colony yet, but the little town with the other settlers. And I guess they are extremely religious to the point where the other religious people are like, yeah, you gotta
tone this
leave.
down.
Yeah.
Freaking us out.
So we open with the family being banished essentially, or deciding to leave. It's not super clear like what is making them leave.
I think it's more like, well, my impression was it's kind of like, oh, you didn't fire me, I quit kind of thing, where they were like, they were definitely brought before the town, and the other settlers were like, we don't like you. And then the dad's like, oh, you don't like me? Well, you're all sinners, and my family's leaving before you taint us. Ha 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 ha. And they're like, no, that's what we want. Like, go. So that was my impression.
That sounds about right, I think.
Yeah.
And so the family leaves and goes to set up a little house and farm somewhere in the woods. And right away, I really like the aesthetic of the movie. It's very dreary.
It is.
It feels very like you can feel the folk tale-ness of it. Like Hansel and Gretel kind of, but I don't know, more realistic.
Yeah.
And then we see the daughter, Anya Taylor-Joy's character, Thomasin.
Which I love that name.
Thomasin?
Yeah. First I was like, ugh. But then like as her name was kept being said, I was like, I kind of like that name for a girl.
It's a very Puritan name.
It is a very Puritan name, but I'm gonna bring it back. I'm not having kids, but like I'll figure it out.
You'll get another dog, and
I'll get another dog and name her or him Thomasin.
I'm down. I approve. She takes the baby, the little son Samuel. That's right, Samuel? They go into the wood, or I don't know why she takes him into the woods and is just playing with him and doing peekaboo. And I know that this scene was supposed to be the opening scene. Originally, the scene where she's playing peekaboo, that was supposed to be the opening scene, and then the movie would go from there. But the director decided that they needed a little bit more context for the family before diving into the supernatural part of it, because that's like where we first see that the baby disappears and it's revealed that he was taken by a witch and turned into flying ointment for the witch. That's like, yeah. Before we get to that, how are we feeling about the peekaboo scene?
Well, I agree with the director's call to do some more, because you wouldn't have really understood that they were like isolated, because it could have just been like, who snatched the baby? Like, was it the neighbor? Was it the priest? No, like they were miles away from any other people. So like, what snatched the baby is the better question. Yeah, I liked it. It just cracked me up because like, I don't know if you see this before the peekaboo scene. I might be getting a little ahead of myself, but like all the weird little like trinkets and shit hanging around the house, like
the like corn and stuff that they have
like
hanging.
some of it I'm sure they're like drying out or whatever, but like there's like little doll, like I don't know if I'm like mistaking like Puritan culture for like cult activity. But I was like, yeah, there are definitely like some special strand of like, you know, hyper crazy Christianity, because they got some weird little like dolls and shit hanging around.
I don't think I noticed the dolls, but I did notice the corn, and like I know the set dressing was very meticulous, and they filmed everything using only natural light and candles, which really, made the film look very authentic and set the tone very well, I think. I know that the director said that they used more candles than, they actually would have had, because candles were very expensive at the time. So the amount of candles in the film is not necessarily historically accurate, but it's pretty interesting.
Fake.
But yeah, so then the baby disappears and is taken by the witch, and we see him. Oh, that whole sequence is like one of the most visceral, like horrific things I've seen in a movie. It like just makes me want to crawl into a little ball and just like, ugh, it's like just very disturbing. And it's one of the only scenes in the movie really that's like violent like that, outside of the ending. But it really, sets up the fear in us as well as the family, I think. Because we see what happens to Samuel.
Baby. Feel bad for the baby.
What's interesting though is she's making like a flying ointment. Like that's a thing that witches did in the past. People who believed in witches, they would use a unbaptized baby to end their entrails and turn the entrails into a stick. It's because at the time it wasn't a witch's broom, it was just a stick that they used to fly. Yeah.
I didn't know it was made from baby entrails. That's good to know. Nasty.
I don't have all of the ingredients in front of me that was also needed. But
where's the BuzzFeed tasty video of making?
you want to make some baby entrails flying ointment. This is what you're gonna need: 3 tablespoons of whatever. Yeah,
1 freshly unbaptized baby. A stick.
Yeah. So after the baby's murdered, the family is devastated. The mom is like, just crying all day. William, the father, and Caleb, the son, decide to go out hunting or decide to go, looking for the baby, but when in reality they're actually hunting. And the son asks the father, is the baby going to hell? Because it was baptized, and the dad pretty much says, I don't know.
He's like, I'd like to think not, but like, he wasn't baptized. Because I think if I'm not mistaken, this is me, just pulling facts out of my ass. This might not be right. I'm pretty sure you didn't get baptized until you were older back then.
Yeah, I don't know how early they baptized children. I know that in Puritan culture, it was kind of required that you don't really bond with your children until they're around 5 years old because of, the likelihood of them surviving was really low. So you kind of they were a thing that lived with you until they were 5. And then that's when you could like bond with them and like treat them as a person.
I get it. They didn't have like real science back then, but I feel like that's kind of like counterintuitive. I feel like if you want your child, I understand like, yes, there is like, it's difficult to lose a child at any age, but like, I feel like you should be putting more care and effort when they're young to ensure that they make it past 5. Like if you just like do the bare minimum, they are more likely to like get sick and die, Yeah. So like let me just like gently neglect my 3-year-old for a couple more years and see what happens.
They all should have taken psychology 101. I mean, come on.
The wonder of our society is the way it is.
And when they're hunting, we see a little hare, a rabbit, and that's supposed to be the witch, or it's inferred that it's the witch because hares were a symbol of witches and witchcraft in ye old times.
That hare, yes, the witch, was like creeping me all the way out. Like it was like you can't see what I'm doing right now, but I'm staring really intensely into the camera. I was like, wow, you want to know my soul. VVitch? VVitch?
VVitch. It's kind of obvious in that scene too that William doesn't know what he's doing.
Oh yeah.
He fumbles with the hunting gear. Oh, also he reveals that he traded his wife's silver cup for this hunting gear in secret. He didn't tell her. And so
because he's a dumb fucking man.
Yeah. And he obviously he was not prepared to survive on his own with his family out in the wilderness because he doesn't know how to hunt. He didn't have hunting gear to begin with. He shoots himself in the face, kind of, as he tries to shoot the rabbit.
Or was that the witch like cursing his gun?
No, I think it's just he's incompetent.
No, he just sucks.
No,
The witch
I
didn't
think-
have to do anything. She was like, if he's actually a good shot, I'll mess with his gun.
She's just like, bring it on. She's staring him down and knows that he's, sucks. He's a very prideful man and thinks that he can do more than he actually can.
Which like definitely is like his like sin throughout the movie is like pride, because like obviously the first sign of that was the very beginning where he didn't think about like the health and well-being of his own family. Instead he chose like, and I understand like religion's important to a lot of people, so I'm not trying to like shit on people who are, religious or whatever, but like at a certain point, like it's too much when you're like literally endangering like the health and well-being of like others, like that's literally when it turns into extremism. Is when you have no regard for human life, when you choose your beliefs over others in a violent way, in a way that would endanger them.
I agree. There's a theory that about this movie that each person in the family, because there's seven of them, that they each represent a deadly sin. I don't know if I 100% think that was on purpose by the director.
What would the baby be?
So the dad would be sin, the dad would be pride. The mother would be wrath, because she blames Thomasin for everything and is angry and spiteful towards her. Thomasin is greed, because she is greedy for the luxuries of life at the end when she's, offered the devil's book. The twins are gluttony and sloth, because they just kind of sit around and hang out all day. They don't help out. They kind of just sing songs and hang out with Black Phillip.
Would Caleb then be lust? Because
Yeah,
he kept staring
Caleb
at
would
his
be
sister's
lust.
boobs? Freak. Anyway. What's the last one then? Envy. The baby's envious that the rest of his family's alive.
Yeah, so that's why I don't necessarily think that's true, because I know the director also tells you to
up until the baby though.
yeah, I mean, the director has said multiple times that like you're just supposed to kind of take this movie at face value, take it literally. It's not, like a lot of the more recent horror films are like commentaries on something. This one isn't necessarily that, and he kind of wants it to just be like, this is the worst nightmare for a Puritan family. It's just a folk tale about a Puritan family, but I do think that it's an interesting theory, and I see I would like to explore it.
I see, like, just based off that, I see it, like, I see how they are supposed to represent like different areas of like forbidden sin or whatever. But yeah, like the 7 deadly sins, like what's the baby envious of? Like, yeah, being alive? No.
Having entrails?
Yeah. Not being murdered. Yeah, so, and also Thomasin like doesn't, like, greed for Thomasin doesn't make that much sense, because like
it's a bit of a stretch.
Yeah, she wasn't greedy up until the end. She was just like,
she was kind of just trying to
like make it.
Yeah.
At that point, I feel like she was like, please marry me off. Like, I don't want to be on this fucking farm anymore. That would have been me. I would have been like, I'll take my chances with another family, y'all.
Yeah.
If my mother's treating me like that.
That's kind of where we're at in the movie. The family has dinner, and the mom accuses Thomasin of doing something with her cup, stealing her cup. And the dad doesn't like say anything. Just kind of says it probably wasn't her, but like doesn't tell her that he's the one that traded the cup either. So
Right.
he's still protecting his pride in that moment.
God of the year.
And then later that night, the mom is like freaking out because, you know, the crops aren't doing well. They don't have a lot of food. The baby, you know, is obviously dead because it's been like 5 days or whatever since he disappeared. So she's talking about getting rid of Thomasin and sending her to another family to get married, so that they don't have to take care of her because it's one less mouth to feed.
2 less mouths to feed.
True.
She goes down to the water to wash the father's trousers, and then Caleb comes down to talk to her, and then the twins come, or the just one of the twins,
Mercy.
the girl, Mercy, comes down.
Clickety clackety. Clickety clackety.
Oh, I'm the witch. Quiet, Mercy. So Mercy comes down and is like, oh, I'm the witch and Mummy hates you. And then Anya Taylor-Joy, who has my heart in this scene, was like, bitch, maybe I'm the witch and I'm going to hunt you down and I'm going to eat your entrails and dance naked with the devil. And she was like, it's not true. And then Caleb's like, stop it, Thomasin. And then I love doing these accents. I'm so bad at it. And then Thomasin's like, you swear not to tell. And she's like, I swear it. And then that comes back to bite Thomasin in the backside later.
Yes, it does. What did you think of like the accents and how they talked in the movie?
I kind of liked the thee, thy, thou. It just, you kind of got used to it pretty quickly. Like, yeah. I got used to it pretty fast. Like, it made me chuckle like the first 10 minutes when he and Caleb were walking to the woods and he's like, thine mother and I love thou very much, or whatever, love thee very much. And I was like, okay, like,
I love when the dad at one point he goes, I'll have thee quiet. It's like, yeah.
Like,
shut up. I'll have thee quiet.
Oh, that was funny.
Yeah. All of the dialogue and stuff is based off of old writings from the time, like how they say things about the witch, or, you know, their faith and farming and everything is like based off of actual writings, which is pretty cool. And I thought the dialogue was, it's one of those movies where you kind of need subtitles sometimes, at least for me, because I'm dumb, but it was very well done, I thought. And I thought the like kids doing it did like an awesome job too. It was very impressive.
Yeah. Like little Caleb. I mean, I'm sure he was like 13, 14, whatever, but still, like, I would have been like, so where do I say thou? And then like the director's like, like face palming. So I'm a terrible person. They
didn't like seem less capable, if that makes sense. Like, they all seemed very like they were doing a great job. I don't know what how else to say it. They all did a great job. So after Thomasin pretends to be the witch of the wood and Mercy gets spooked, Caleb starts preparing to go check a trap in the woods, and Thomasin basically is like, I'm coming with you. And he's like, okay. So
he's like, I want to look at your boobs, so that's fine. Let's go.
So they start going in the woods, and then all hell breaks loose and they get separated.
The poor dog.
Yeah, the dog gets munched on.
Slaughtered.
And so they get separated. Caleb finds the Hansel and Gretel witch house in the woods, and it's a Victoria's Secret model that comes out as the Red Riding Hood witch. I'm just naming things that she looks like. I don't know.
Oh,
I know that she is a Victoria's Secret model, the actress that played the witch.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Nice. Good for Caleb.
Yeah. And so Caleb gets his first kiss, and it's very sweet.
Until it's not.
Until it's not. Thomasin goes back to the house and is like, I lost Caleb. And they're like, what the heck? And so they're
The
freaking
mom's
out.
like, likely story, witch.
No, yeah, sure.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, and then William actually admits to selling the cup to get the wife to leave Thomasin alone for a little bit. And Thomasin this whole time is just like trying to do stuff to like make her parents happy. You know, like she's just like doing stuff around the farm. I don't remember if we see the blood coming from the goat's milk yet. I don't know if that's already happened or when that happens in the movie, but basically showing that like things on the farm are getting worse. The animals aren't producing milk. I know at one point we see that there's like ergot on the corn around the farm. It's a fungus or like some sort of, it's a thing that grows on corn and vegetation that if you ingest it can give you hallucinations. So I think it's just showing that they're not competent in their farming skills and everything that can go bad is going bad. And also if you read into the ergo, however you pronounce it, stuff on the corn, that like some of the stuff is like the family going crazy. That's just a little detail I thought was interesting.
Yeah.
And then that night, Thomasin goes out to put the goats away and then finds Caleb naked in the rain. And he's obviously not okay.
He's been through it.
Yeah, he's
his first time with a woman was less than ideal.
Yeah, I mean,
he's also a child, so
yeah.
like definitely not a good time.
So they take him in and they bleed his head, which was CGI. It didn't look CGI, so they did a very good job with that.
Nah, the little actor's just got this massive like scar on the side of his head. They had one chance to get that shot right.
Yeah, so they bring him inside and try to take care of him, and he's obviously, not doing super hot. The twins are still singing songs about Black Phillip and about how Tom, like, the witch, whatever.
And then Mercy rats Thomasin out for pretending to be the witch, and then of course the mom like latches onto that and she's like, I knew it. And then the dad's like, get on your knees, do you accept Christ? And then she's like, yeah. And then he's like, good enough for me.
Like, cool, thanks.
Like, cool, good job, now let's everybody pray. And then
it's because all of this is happening after Caleb starts screaming. Mm-hmm. So they all go upstairs and he's like, freaking out, convulsing. And then his like jaw locks. And so they have to like kind of bust open his mouth. And there's like a bloody apple coming out of his mouth. Because I think earlier in the movie, he had lied to his mom about him and his dad going to search for apples when really they were hunting. I guess I said earlier they were looking for the baby, but they were searching for apples, which was a nice little circle back. He's got an apple in his lying mouth.
And also it's the fruit of all sin, or that started it all, essentially, the forbidden fruit.
True. Yeah, like in the Garden of Eden, the snake
the snake
seduces Eve with the fruit of knowledge of good and evil, and I guess that was
serpent seduces Eve.
That was a Caleb with the witch. And then he gives this like really incredible speech.
I know. I was gripped like when he was talking. I was like, who is this young man? He's doing really well.
So I guess the guy who plays the dad does Shakespeare theater a lot. And so he worked with Caleb to get him to do that really well. So I think it paid off. He did a great job. And it's all one take. Like you don't notice because you're like focused on him, but he does it all in one take. And it's insane. Because he goes from like convulsing to giving this love speech to Jesus and
then
like
dying.
Yeah, and then dying. It's insane. Yeah. What did you think of that whole scene, just like in general?
That was like probably the best part of the movie for me. I was like, because it really showed like the fervor of which like like really really showed like the degree to which like they're willing to like put the blame, like they're willing to blame each other, they're willing to like do anything, like the they were just like praying so hard and so like passionately, and then like the little kids even were like so overcome with like whatever was happening that they like passed out. And like poor Thomasin, she was just like, I have no idea what the fuck is happening, but somehow I'm getting blamed for it just because I made one joke.
It was a joke.
It wasn't. She's like stabbing her mom, like it was a joke.
I don't think it's a joke anymore.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then the twins blame Thomasin for bewitching Caleb, and by all accounts, like the evidence against Thomasin is
it's overwhelming.
Yeah.
Even if I was there, I'd be like, well, girl, you were there both times.
little sus.
Little on the nosy, don't you think, Thomasin?
I mean, if you were a Puritan at the time and believed those things, I could see how one would turn on Thomasin. But
yeah.
And then the twins pretend like they can't recite the Lord's Prayer, which at the time was considered a sign of the witch, because witches couldn't say the Lord's Prayer, and so they were pretending like they couldn't remember it. So like they were bewitched, and then they start convulsing and pretending like they're being taken over.
I normally don't wish for a child to be dead, but like, you know what? They got their just desserts.
Yeah.
That witch snatched their asses.
And so then the dad gets frustrated and goes outside, and Thomasin calls him out for all of his shit, being like, you're a hypocrite. Like, you brought us out here and you didn't know how to do anything. And we're saying that we need help, and you're still not like just owning up to your shit. You blamed me for you let me take the fall for the cup when you're the one that sold it and stuff.
He also like sold it for the stupidest stuff. Like the wife was like, the reason she was so mad that the cup was gone, one, it was like a treasured heirloom from her father, but she was like, we could have sold that for food.
Yeah.
And then he's like, oh, I didn't think of food at the time. He sold it for something worse, like equipment that does not guarantee you get food. Yeah. So yeah, that was, yes, I appreciated Thomasin's speech. And then he like locks them all in the freaking mini barn.
Yeah, he's like, if you're not a witch, then like this will be fine. So he just locks them all in the little goat pen thing.
Goat house.
Yeah. And goes to bury Caleb. And that's you sent me a Snapchat.
Oh my god, that was the fun. I rewatched that scene like 5 times. I was laughing so hard because like, so the scene where he digs the grave for poor Caleb, he puts him in. He turns to like start putting the dirt in on the grave, and he looks down, and the mother's in the grave, like caressing his body and just staring up at him. And then the shot of his face just slayed me. He's looking at her like, he's like, I have had enough of this shit. Like he was done. He was deceased. He was over it. It killed me. I was like, even though this is all your fault, you did put up with a lot of crazy from your wife. So like, I kind of feel for you a little bit in that moment.
Yeah, but ultimately it was all of his fault.
It's all his fault.
Everything is his fault. And And then in the morning,
well, overnight, because they're
you're right. So the mom has a hallucination of Caleb and the baby.
Oh, that was so gross.
Yeah. And she's like almost seduced, like it's obviously the devil talking to her. And she's asked to sign the book, right? But it's distracted by the baby being hungry, and then it cuts to like a raven eating her boob, and it's just another just quick, visceral, shocking image that is very effective.
Yeah, that one shooketh me. I was like, I literally was like, I think I was watching it. I went, oh, like really loud. Oh man, that was wicked.
Yeah. And then
the dad doesn't notice. Like he's asleep the whole time. You don't see like a crow fly in and just start pecking your wife.
Yeah.
Your fault, William.
And then we see the actual witch in the goat pen with the twins, and she turns around and is like,
oh my god, that was so funny. And then like it just like goes black because it's like, hey, and they all scream, and then it goes black.
And then we wake up and the dad
hear any of this.
The dad just gets out of bed and is like,
crawls over his wife who's bleeding from her boob. He's like,
he walks out, he's like, oh, what a beautiful morning. And then
like you almost expect him to be holding a cup of coffee and looking for the newspaper, like, oh man, just another day in the burbs. And he looks over and it just looks like a fucking tornado hit the goat pen.
The goats are like skinned. Kids. The goats are skinned. The twins are gone. Yeah. And Thomasin is like just lying there with their blood on her hands. Very sus. Very sus.
Yeah, I know. I'm like, poor Thomasin's really getting all the flack for this, which I feel like was the witch, like, and Black Phillip, aka the devil, like building it up, like we're taking you with us, so like you might as well just like have nothing to lose by the time we get through with you.
And he just doesn't say anything, and then all of a sudden Black Phillip nails him in the chest, and that's Charlie the goat. He was very difficult to work with, according to the director. A lot of the scenes that he was in, they had to CGI out his handlers because he didn't want to behave.
Where's his Oscar?
He actually did send the dad to the hospital at one point. But yeah, no, that moment was very shocking.
When Black Phillip, I was like, he's been waiting for this moment.
Yeah, but then the dad kind of just like gives in. He's just like, yeah, all right. And then Black Phillip knocks him into the pile of wood that he's been cutting this whole movie. Like every time you see like something stressful happens, it cuts to the dad like cutting firewood because that's the only thing he's good at. It's the only thing he's good at, competent at.
Good at is chopping wood.
He's kind of building up his pile of sins. Every time he does something that leads to a stressful moment in the movie, he cuts more wood to add to his pile of sins, and then he's eventually buried by them.
Whoa. That's so good.
Yeah.
Nice. I did not pick up on that.
And Thomasin's like, what the fuck? After the dad dies, and the mom comes out and is like, what the fuck? She's like going crazy, blaming Thomasin for everything, which understandable at this point. And Thomasin's like, no, I love you, whatever. And she attacks her, grabs the hatchet and like cuts her face, and then just kills her.
Just goes ham. Goes to town.
And then once her mom's dead, she gets up. It's a very striking like frame of like the blood on her, because everything else in the movie is very like gray and like monochromatic. It's just very bland and dull. And then the pop of like blood all over her is very visually striking. And then she goes in and she like takes off her clothes. It's kind of like she's like stripping herself of the Puritan lifestyle that's been holding her down this whole time.
Getting ready for a baptism, if you will.
Maybe.
A baptism into Satanism.
Yeah, she's just getting rid of the oppressive forces of the society that's been, projected onto her. She's like, cool, if you're gonna blame me for everything, then fuck it. I'm done. Everyone's dead.
There's no one can blame me for anything anymore because they're all dead.
Yep. So, and then she just hangs out, and then that night the Black Phillip comes and presents her with the book and is like, do you want to live deliciously? And me, audience member, I was like, yes, please.
I was like, what's so delicious?
I like delicious. That sounds fun. And she becomes a witch. The end.
Great. Again, like I said, I was like, at that point, everybody's just like fucked her over. Like, she's not in a great spot. She's not going to survive on her own. I was like, she's just going to join up with the witch. And then when she more or less did, I was like, oh yeah. No, it was good. It was like, I wanted it to be spookier, but I guess while talking it through, I was like, yeah, it was okay. Like, it was pretty good.
Yeah. I mean, I think that's a pretty common critique, because I had that too the first time I watched it, because I had no I guess I did have expectations, because I was like, oh, this is gonna be like about a witch, and then it wasn't. And then
and then at the end you're like, where's the witch?
Yeah. You're like, where's the witch? I wanted more witch. And then you sit with it a little bit longer and you're like, actually it was okay. I liked it,
Yeah.
That's kind of how I felt about it. Like, and I like that there's not too much to read into it. Like, you can if you want to, but it also works just on a surface level.
Because I mean, as you said, it's like a folktale. So like folktales have inherently have like lessons.
Mm-hmm.
So like whatever lesson or like whatever conclusions you draw, cool. But you can take it at whatever, moral story you want.
Yeah. And I think if we were to read into it, it for me seems kind of just about the fear of like a woman's power, like because the fear of the witch in Puritan culture kind of stemmed from the fear of a woman's powers and anger and like emotion under a patriarchal system. And this is like, a woman, because both the mom and Thomasin were presented with the book,
Right.
And so
both
women were presented with the opportunity to live deliciously and do what they wanted.
But it's so sad because, if the mother had signed the book, she would not have seen like the baby or Caleb again. Like, that was definitely like in his playbook to like entice. Because I mean, like, I'm sure you could, I guess, in a way, live deliciously if you became a witch, but it would be like at the expense of like murdering babies. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So like, there's a price.
I mean, I don't think they care.
True. No, I'm not saying they're like, oh, I hate this while they're like sawing a baby open, but like,
yeah.
But like, there is a price, and like that price is like your morality, like, so to speak. So,
yeah.
she wouldn't have gotten like to see her children again. Like, it would have just been like, cool, got you, now go saw open another baby,
Yeah. Do you have any specific critiques of the movie that you want to talk about? Because it is his first movie, and I know that he is very critical of it, but I think it's a very good first feature.
Yeah, I think it was good. I kind of wish, I don't know how they would have fit it in, like, they did try to go back to the town. Or maybe, like, I don't know, just like just more about like how they left, like why they left or whatever, but it doesn't really matter.
Yeah.
I just like, maybe like one of them was being accused of witchcraft, who knows, and that's why they were run out of town. But
I don't think it would have ended very well for them if that was the case.
You're right. Yeah, you're right.
But yeah, I agree. I think a little more info on the family before. Or I think to really like make the moment where she kills her mom a little bit more emotionally like heavy, just have like one or two moments throughout the film where they're able to interact in a positive way, you know, where you feel like it's a family and she's not totally resentful of her daughter the entire time. And that you can kind of feel the gradual resentment as the movie goes. Because before, the only moment we see that's positive really is where she gives the baby to Thomasin before the baby gets snatched. That's about it. Otherwise,
it's been pretty consistent.
Yeah, but that's just a nitpick, I think.
Yeah,
because otherwise the movie's pretty effective.
Yeah, I had a good time. It was a weird movie, but you know, it was a good time.
Yeah. Would you watch it again?
Probably.
Yeah.
Probably not for a while though. I don't need to see a crow pecking at somebody's boob again. not for a hot minute.
Yeah. Well, I think we can probably wrap up here unless you have any other thoughts on the VVitch.
I don't have any other thoughts on the VVitch.
Cool. All right. Well, this was fun.
Oh wait, one last time.
Yes.
Messy.
Clickety clackety. Clickety clackety.
Like that kid fucking sucked so bad. Clickety clackety. I'm the witch. Quiet, Massey. Just their accents. Can't get over it.
We do a good job of the accents.
Yeah,
we should be cast
the actors.
Yeah. All right. Well, we can wrap it up. If you enjoyed this episode, you can follow us on Instagram to see what we've got going on. Instagram is @AnotherPictureShow or Twitter @AnotherPicPod. You can listen to our other episodes on YouTube, on Spotify, on Google Podcasts, on iTunes. Pretty much wherever you get podcasts is where Another Picture Show podcast will be.
Damn straight.
So, thank you again for speaking with me about this folk tale. I'm excited for next week.
Her face always makes me nervous. She's like a little evil grin.
Well, right now my face is extremely sunburned, so I probably look even more like evil. Devil-like.
I'm excited too. It's always a good time when
Yeah.
I'm with you.
Oh, likewise. All right. Well, I'll see you next week.
Sounds good. Bye.
Bye.